Chairman, I just want to start with something that you stated already, Mr. Light, and that was that Russians were manipulating the market and increasing prices before the invasion. And why I think it's so important that you said that today is because let's all ask ourselves, what was President Biden doing while this was going on and ahead of that going on? Well, he was cutting off U.S. pipelines and creating a difficult regulatory environment for made-in-America oil and gas. You guys are to blame. That is what you were doing, and everybody should be pointing their fingers at you, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have any questions for you. I do want to talk about Development Finance Corporation. I do have your budget request right here, what you're asking for from we the people, the American people, and I do have the EESDA in front of me right here. Want to go over a few parts of it, as I did with Mr. Nathan a couple days ago, and want to know your opinion on these. Part of the EESDA specifically says to facilitate international negotiations concerning cross-border infrastructure. Should I understand cross-border infrastructure as it relates to the energy and EESDA as pipelines?
Thank you for the question, Congressman.
Is it pipelines?
As I think CEO Nathan mentioned in his testimony, cross-border infrastructure would include infrastructure for energy. That's our mandate under
cross-border would be a pipeline. That's a pipeline that goes across a border.
Well,
right?
For example, in the energy, if you look at the project eligibility guidelines in the Act,
is it a pipeline among other things?
Electricity transmission.
Is it a pipeline among other things?
Well, I think it could be.
Are you against pipelines?
Well,
are you for pipelines? Are you for pipelines?
The Act discusses.
Let's go with that one. Are you for pipelines?
Congressman, I appreciate the question.
Yes or no? For pipelines, yes.
In my personal capacity, I have been really honored to have this opportunity to serve.
I'm not worried about how honored you are. Are you for pipelines?
With respect, Congressman, my personal opinion is...
This is what people hate about Washington, D.C. It's a simple question. You're asking for money from the U.S. taxpayer to do cross-state infrastructure overseas as related to energy. Are you for pipelines or not?
I think that the Development Finance Corporation is interested in advancing any project that can deliver energy security for our allies.
It does say diversity on here, energy diversity, and it does say renewable and non-renewable fuels. That's the EESDA. So are you for pipelines?
In the Act, the project eligibility
so you won't say if you're for pipelines. It's yes or no.
Allows us to work on projects that can deliver electricity generating capacity using fossil or clean energy.
So you're for fossil fuel use?
And we will advance.
You're for the DFC.
The DFC will
creating a friendly regulatory environment.
If I could interrupt,
no, you
allow. Yes, I can.
No, you can't. It's not your.
Yes,
time.
I can.
No,
sir.
you can't.
Sir,
you guys messed
you'd like an
all
argument?
Up.
Allow him
to
answer
time.
the question. In all due respect,
there's no respect taken.
Evidently, there's no respect given.
That's because you guys are messing up energy
Chair
for our
recognizes
country.
the witness to
you guys
answer
are
a question
making
that
oil
was
and
posed
gas
to him.
Ridiculously expensive for Americans, and you don't want to be questioned about it.
Are you pleased you're getting this soundbite, sir? I'm not going to participate in it.
Don't participate then.
Close
Close your mouth and let me ask my questions. Don't participate. Let me
close my mouth, sir.
Yes, you heard it directly. That's why you sound so offended, because you heard what I said. So let's do that, and let me finish asking my questions.
Allow them to answer the question.
If he wanted to answer the question, he could. Let's get back to the questions that you don't want to answer. Do you support pipelines? We know that you don't. We talked about what Mr. Light said already, that the Russians were working to manipulate these markets ahead of the invasion into the Ukraine. And what was the Biden administration doing? Absolutely nothing. They were cutting off pipelines here in the United States of America, creating a difficult regulatory environment for oil and gas exploration. You guys are to blame for this. You're interrupting me because you don't want Democrats to have to answer for what Democrats have been doing in the House of Representatives, what the administration has been doing as it relates to energy, cutting off 25,000 jobs as it relates to the XL pipeline, 800,000 barrels a day of oil to the United States of America. You're willing to ask for money for the Development Finance Corporation, money from we the people in the United States of America to develop energy infrastructure overseas, reduce the regulatory environment for energy infrastructure to include fossil fuel usage overseas, but you'll cut it off here for made in America from sea to shining sea, and you guys are absolutely wrong because of it. Now you can have 2 seconds back.
If I could, Mr. Chairman.
You did you say not that any alternative would be available in terms of the AOC? And you do, given the fact you weren't allowed to answer the question, the opportunity to answer the question.
He was allowed. I offered him plenty of opportunities to answer. He didn't want to answer. Very simple yes or no.
Gentleman's time has expired. The witness shall give the opportunity to answer a question.
I should get that time back that you took when you were interrupting me. Why don't we give that back?
Gentlemen will have the opportunity to answer the question.
All right, I guess that's too democratic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sir, for your question.
I'll ask all the panel members, please, give the decorum with the respect that this committee deserves and the respect our witnesses deserve, the respect that the public is here deserve. Allow the gentleman to answer this question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I simply would like to just underscore that under the authority that DFC has from the European Energy Security and Diversification Act, designed to help provide energy security to our allies, particularly of importance during this wartime, we will pursue projects that can deliver energy security to Europe. In the project eligibility section of the Act, and I would encourage you to consult with that section, Mr. Mast, there is specific delineation of what types of projects may be eligible for DFC financing. And there is discussion of electricity transmission infrastructure, there is discussion of energy storage, there is discussion of electricity generating capacity, yes, for both fossil fuels and clean energy. And I'm not aware of any specific eligibility for pipelines.
The floor is recognized.
So which Americans were being targeted? Now, August 2nd, 2022, a media organization obtained a copy of a document which whistleblowers subsequently authenticated to the committee that is styled the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Symbols Guide on Militia Violent Extremists. Mr. O'Boyle, are you generally familiar with that guide?
Yes.
And that guide identified certain things that made people more likely to be deemed a threat or terrorists, didn't it?
Yes.
And wasn't one of those things just the number 2 and the letter A next to each other?
Yes, it was.
And in your experience as a law enforcement official, does putting the word 2 or the letter 2 and A next to each other make someone more likely to be violent or law-breaking?
No.
And if someone signified the right, that they support the right to bear arms, was that also something in the symbol guide?
Yes.
And how about, this one really got me, the Betsy Ross flag. Was the Betsy Ross flag in the terrorism symbol guide?
It was.
And what about the Betsy Ross flag makes someone more likely to be a violent extremist?
I wish there was a reasonable explanation for that question.
There isn't. And people blew the whistle and said, this stuff is crazy. Americans are being targeted. Mr. Friend, you ever been to a school board meeting?
Yes, I have.
FBI ever sent you to the parking lot of a school board meeting?
Yes, they have.
And in the parking lot of a school board meeting where the FBI sent you, you were taking down information regarding people's license plates.
That's correct.
Now, it wasn't the first time you'd been to a school board meeting, was it?
No, I went on my own as a private citizen.
As a parent.
Yes.
And so there you were. It must have been quite an interesting perspective. There you were taking down the information of people, parents attending school board meetings on behest of the FBI, and you had been one of those parents at a school board meeting. How did that feel?
Well, after I attended privately, my colleagues teased me that they were probably going to start investigating me.
You used to go after the worst of the worst, didn't you?
Yes, I believe so.
You went after people who looked at child porn,
Yes.
people who were sexually exploiting children.
Yes.
And then you were in the parking lot of a school board meeting, taking down the information of parents. What happened to the cases that you were working to protect our communities from the worst predators that exist?
I was told they were not to be resourced, and then after I was suspended, they were handed off to local law enforcement.
Wow, so the FBI just decided it was more important to have you in that parking lot of that school board meeting than getting the worst of the worst away from people that they could harm.
That's correct.
But you deserve the consequences you are getting, according to the ranking member. Mr. O'Boyle, the ranking member said that when people break the law, they deserve the consequences they get. And it doesn't matter that they served in the military. So what law did you break before the FBI packed up all your stuff and moved it across the country to Virginia?
No true law. The only thing I broke was not towing the line for the FBI. Like I said when I opened, my oath is to the Constitution, not to the FBI.
And our laws provide you avenues to talk to Congress, to talk to your supervisors about those concerns, right?
Correct.
And so you didn't deviate from that, did you?
No.
You didn't go to the media first, did you?
No.
You used what the law provided, and your family has paid an exquisite price for that, haven't they?
They have.
How old were your children when they moved you across the country?
6, 5, 3, and 2 weeks.
A 2-week-old baby. Could you get your stuff?
6 weeks later.
Oh, so for 6 weeks, almost every possession to your name, the FBI had and wouldn't give back to you. How did you, what time of year was it? Was it winter, summer?
When I reported, it was in September. So when we were traveling, it was summertime, essentially. So we had basically summer clothes, but then we were basically stranded in Wisconsin, which is where we're from. It gets cold there pretty quick. And
yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'm a Florida man. But what was it like when you had to go and explain to your wife that you didn't have coats for your children because the FBI wouldn't give them back to you?
It was horrible. I mean, we were asking family for clothes and excuse me. It was a difficult time.
Yeah, you became a charity case, didn't you?
I did, and now I get derided for that. I never thought I'd have to accept charity in my life. I thought I would be able to take care of my family, but I'm grateful for everyone who has provided charity to me. That even includes a former colleague's church. I would name the church to give them recognition, but I'm too worried that the FBI would send informants to infiltrate that church as well.
Yeah, well, they've already done that with the Catholics. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from North Dakota is recognized.
Gõ cửa trái tim van anh được vào, dù tình xót đau chung thân huyệt đau, ngủ vùi với chim bao nỗi niềm mắt xanh xao, nhưng em vẫn ngóng tim anh mở cửa. Gõ cửa trái tim sao anh hững hờ, ngõ hồn tái tê năm canh thẫn thờ, nhện lòng mắc răng tơ để một mối bơ vơ, khi không anh nhốt em trong đợi chờ. Bằng vàng nên tiếng kêu nghe bẽ bàng, để em gõ cửa miên man mà anh không chút oan than. Em buồn lang thang gõ cửa trái tim, nghe xa nghìn trùng đèn mờ hắt hiu cô đơn tận cùng, đàn lỡ phím sai cung, tình này cũng mông lung, tìm anh ai khóa để em lạnh lùng. cửa trái tim van anh được vào, dù tình xót đau chung thân huyệt đau, ngủ vùi với chiêm bao nỗi niềm mắt xanh xao, nhưng em vẫn ngóng tim anh mở cửa. Gõ cửa trái tim sao anh hững hờ, ngõ hồn tái tê năm canh thẫn thờ, nhện lòng mắc răng tơ để một môi bơ vơ, khi không anh nhốt em trong đợi chờ. Tim anh bằng vàng nên tiếng kêu nghe bè ba, để em gõ cửa miên man mà anh không chút hỏi han. Em buồn lang thang gõ cửa trái tim nghe xa nghìn trùng, đèn mờ hắt hiu cô đơn tận cùng, đàn lỡ phím sai cung, tình này cũng mông lung, tìm anh ai khóa để em lạnh lùng. Đàn lỡ phím sai cung, tình này cũng mông lung, tìm anh ai khóa để em lạnh